Oh, hello people, and welcome back to part 36 of Thessia. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to kick off today's episode by placing some new billboards that have been made by brothers, and some of them designed by Terry as well. All in favour of Ascension Distillery that we did last episode. Turned out really cool, so thank you so much brothers for these assets, mate. It makes an enormous difference seeing these little bits of community, personality and engagement across the city, and some really nice jokes to be had in here as well, so thank you so much for the assets, buddy. In today's episode, we're going to be developing the city centre of Ascension, and it turns into a really fun build, lots of nice asset placements, some pedestrianisation as well, alongside a really cool greenbelt design that will sit between the town and the beach. So lots of fun, nice space to work with. Get started, shall we? So how fantastic are all these new billboards looking? really great work from Brothers and Thessia, of course, as always, for putting together these assets. Just really cool. Absolutely love the Ascension rum, and of course the bitter bastards that live in Ascension of course had to come ahead and get a rival billboard over in Valkyrie against the brewery for what they did over by the interchange coming into Ascension. So an absolute ton of fun. I always love seeing these billboards around the city. They make an enormous difference to this series, so thank you for contributing to them, guys. I'm glad you all enjoy them so much. Particularly what I'm doing to work on today is going to be Ascension's town centre, which is going to be a really fun build, I think. So again, always try and draw an inspiration from the real world. Glancing back at Cairns, I can see that some of these streets that kind of run from top to bottom are pedestrianised. So that's what I want to try and do today. So I think we're going to come in with some large sandstone first of all. And we're just going to do a bulk change up this way. So we're going to have to change our parking roads here a little bit, I think. Let's just move it. We want to grab buildings. We're going to have to change these final end parking spots because they're going to overlap. And then I don't want it every street, so we'll have this one pedestrianised. Then this one on the end can also become pedestrian as well, which actually meets up nicely with that one at the top there, doesn't it? And again, we'll just use move it to grab the buildings and delete those last few car parks. So these pedestrian streets in Cairns have like a really nice design on them, so I really want to see where the pedestrians walk on these wide sandstone ones. Also a testament to how many people are actually walking from the ferry already, considering there's not really that much here in Ascension yet. Kind of making me eat my own words. So I remember saying at some point in the series, like, this ferry network's going to be crap, no one's going to use it, but they are using it, and it's getting busier as well. Of course, this links all of the towns together now, this ferry network, so I expect it to have at least some use. But yes, anyway, my design with these. So, oh no, they do kind of walk down the middle here, don't they? That's kind of what I was wanting to avoid. So let's come into our planters and see if we can find a solution around this. I'd ideally like something a little more square. I reckon that could be alright, actually. Now you could also do this by running two parallel pedestrian roads together and use a node controller, but I don't really have the space for that, I don't think. But we can still try this. So I think what we will do, we're going to have our planter in the middle of the street here, and then we'll run this the length of the pedestrian street itself, right up to where those bollards start. So we're essentially just framing the lights with the planter. Which again is quite nice. It's going to be quite a little grass median there, isn't it? You could also achieve something very similar here with intersection marking tool as well. Okay, so let's pause it while this lady is walking down. And then I just want to have it, yeah, just about there. So we've got 3 rows of planters. And we can see where that one comes up to. It's like halfway through that second row of tiles, isn't it? About there. So that's going to give us a much wider grass median. Which is okay right now, I think. Really going to change the look of the pedestrian road, isn't it? And then what I want to do is kind of grab, actually what might be a better solution for this is to come into find it. Let's come into trees and then we'll grab medium. And then if we do Alt and V, it's going to cycle through the trees at random. So why don't we do 1, 2, 3, 4, try and not have the same tree or those terrible vanilla ones coming in at least. Something big and pink is always welcome, isn't it? Cool, and then we'll come down to small trees. And then see if we can't get some sort of cute little bushes knocking around the bottom as well. I think just by doing the Alt-V way through find it, you're just going to get a much more random selection than you would if you kind of sat there and purposely chose it. At least in my experience anyway. That seems pretty decent to me. Then let's go ahead and grab our trees with move it. And I just want to drag them into that middle reservation that we created with the planters now. And this should give us something very similar to what we see in Cairns. Now she is walking just on the precipice there, isn't she? I'm hoping they're not going to walk through the middle of this. Really going to irritate me if they do. we'll have to wait and see. So this little number over here just wants dragging in a little bit, doesn't it? There we go. Let's get that in. Okay, but the concept and the general idea is there. To just kind of spruce up our pedestrian roads a little bit. Don't hate that at all. So I'd also like some pops of height in and amongst the density that is of course going to be here. And again, there are some, not skyscrapers, but definitely kind of multi-story buildings in Cairns here that we can take. That's definitely too tall. Yeah, possibly one of these little green cities numbers is going to lend itself most appropriately, I think. So let's have a few of these in. Let's sort of prepare our towers. We'll have one over here. And then let's also keep another one a few blocks down, maybe there. Really want to arrange the towers first and then surround it with low density. Yep, and that one's looking good as well. We'll have that one there too. Cool, so I'm really kind of looking at the isometric view of Cairns here as to where I'm placing these assets. Always quite helpful, I think, looking at Google Earth when you're kind of coming into a new town. I'm also really looking forward to developing the waterfront that is present in Cairns, kind of along this space here in another episode. That's going to be quite a lot of fun, I think. But we'll see how that turns out. You realise we also have this rail line here as well that hasn't been connected in, but because I'm thinking I'm going to take this more commercially focused, we might actually end up just leaving this in as like a little bit of heritage or something. Maybe have the locomotive museum at the end of the line, like it is kind of an old derelict industrial line now that's been like kind of gentrified as the area has been redeveloped. That'd be a fun little theme to run with. Cool, and we can have another one over here as well, and I think that'll do it for right now. Like I say, you know, Cairns isn't majorly high-rising, especially in the part we're looking at today, so don't wait to get too massive. So I also want to blend out of this main street as well, because that's going to be probably the tallest building in the town, this big Hearts of Korea one. So I'd like to start blending away from that if at all possible. That one's looking quite nice there, isn't it? Can we go for some chunkier 4x4 numbers? Yeah, that's the sort of stuff I want. Happy with that, and then after we've come down a little bit we can come back to low density. Which, I imagine an awful lot of King Leno's stuff actually is going to be quite appropriate here. So I'm not too bothered about what really lies on the main street. I think that's going to take care of itself with, you know, just nice assets. But I really want to make sure we pay attention to what spawns on the pedestrian streets. Like I said, for which I think King Leno's mall stuff is going to be the most appropriate. Having these really nice corner assets on the pedestrian street here. We'll have one there. 4x3 here as well. Yeah, so this is really the vibe I want to create down the pedestrian street. So we'll make sure we pick and choose King Leno's assets to help with this. There's another 4x4 one in here as well, that's perfect. We'll have a little bit of that. So we can squeeze another super duper shopping one on there as well. And then again, we can now see we've got a 3 space to play with. Let's see if we can knock down to a slightly different size. Again, I'd like them to be facing on the pedestrian road if possible. It does slightly limit our choices, but we can definitely still get away with it. Some of the University City stuff will definitely be welcome in here as well. Oh, camera's freaked out. Oh, is the curse going to hit the planters? Really praying they don't walk directly down the middle there. I can't remember if they do. I feel like they're going to at some point. Okay, so let's get some more assets placed in here as well. Doesn't always have to be King Leno stuff. I would like it to be relatively touristy focused, I think. A hotel would be a great tower to have in here as well, wouldn't it? But I think we'll probably save that for the waterfront, I imagine. We'll have that there while we remember. And there is no 4x4 leisure assets actually, is there? Interesting. Oh yes, we also had the Apple store as well, didn't we? I feel like this would be a good one to have on the pedestrian street, right? Yeah, that's very on point there, isn't it? We'll definitely have the Apple store in. That's always a firm favourite. Not that I am an Apple fanboy or anything. I actually do lie very much within the Android gang. Yeah, maybe one of these clubs in as well from After Dark. I think we could enjoy that. But now we've got that in, let's go ahead and grab our props and trees with Move It. And then we can just get a little spice sample of exactly what's going to happen here. I think that the best thing to do here actually is to select nodes, and then we will use the mirror function to mirror it opposite that one. Then we know it's going to be perfectly equidistant. What is that person doing? Running all the way around, just trying to get in. But now we can get a look at our very sort of cool Cairns-inspired pedestrian streets running through the town centre rather than just zoning up a road, right? So much more fun to be had here. Of course, if you're going to dive into the workshop and get more custom assets, you can do so much more with this. So the alternative would be, like I mentioned it, I'll kind of show what I'm talking about just in case you guys want to go ahead and do a recreation. So very similar to what we did with Node Controller before, where we kind of widen out two nodes to make it look like kind of a larger one. You essentially want to run two pedestrian streets parallel with each other, but then at the end you want to feed them both into the same node and then widen that out with a Node Controller shift function. Same thing with the orange one as well, you could do that, but it really widens out the node and I just don't have the room to do it in the middle of Ascension. But that essentially achieves the same thing we're doing but with a much more customizable space. You could even kind of like dirt paint this up if you wanted to. Fill that with trees and then you've got the same concept on a much larger scale than what we have down here. So you could do that if you want. That's looking really sweet now, isn't it? We like the shape of the pavement here as well as the road bends out into another shape. We can see as well there we've actually got some further car parking we need to remove as well, haven't we? Take off segments and nodes. Grab those buildings. We'll replace them later on. These folks want a service point, which is fine. We'll grab them quite a large one because there's going to be a fair bit of pedestrian activity required in this town. So can we actually work it into the main street here? I wonder if we bring this one down but don't fully connect it in. Just like that, we'll use Move It to just arrange that node so it's nice and seamlessly close rather than glitching through. And then I think we'll just have our pedestrian area here, or the service point at least. Yeah, okay. And then what we will do, whilst we remember, is to essentially just expand this with service infrastructure. We'll do some more containers, maybe a couple of bins and whatnot, you know, just all the services that allow the pedestrian area further on in the town to function. Probably bob off all of that plant as well on the service point. Don't think it's particularly needed. Cool, we can develop that in our detail and time-lapse, of course. But now we can paint this out, and I think we're going to name this after one of our beautiful patrons as well today. So all this space up here to become pedestrianised, and then this one as well, because this is pedestrian street too. I'll tell you what, because it was actually Bradders that made us the assets at the start of today's episode, we're actually going to go with Stanton Street. Thank you for all your support, Bradders, and indeed being a patron and a YouTube member and a wonderful part of our community, whilst also making wonderful assets. Really appreciate you, Bradders. Thank you for all support, mate. We'll have Stanton Street as these two pedestrianised areas. Cool. I really like that. Very nice indeed. I'd love to also explore the possibility of bringing in some unique buildings here, because I reckon, again, not to constantly shine the sun out of the arse of King Leno, but it just makes good nice assets, doesn't it? So I reckon some of King Leno's mall assets would work nicely over here as well. Of course, we've already used the Mall of Marvels over this way, which has been deleted. Did I do that by accident? How did I do that? I did not mean to do that, everyone. Have we crashed? I think we've crashed. We'll be right back. Okay, so after the crash, we are back, and I'm liking the way that these towers are now representing the sort of town centre of Ascension, right? It's going on quite nicely. And thankfully, no one clipping my planters, which is really nice. I'm obviously happy with that, which is very good. So I want to carry on getting some more commercial around here, but we were exploring the possibility of unique buildings, weren't we? So we were talking about King Leno's malls, so there's also the traditional department store, which fits perfectly. Is that a fits and sits moment? It very well could be. We have used this asset before, pretty sure. Always down for a trip to the downtown. We'll head over there. We've used this one before, haven't we? It's over here. Yes, we fused it into the side of a metro station, didn't we? Over this way. Gotta love that asset. It's a really, really nice part of town, that one, isn't it? Love it. Always happy to come back over here and explore some old builds. Oh, I love it. I know we're kind of taking a break from the whole downtown project at the minute, but when we're away from here, goodness gracious, do I miss building in it. I'm looking forward to getting back. But I'm also enjoying Ascension as well. My point being, we've already used this asset before. But if it fits and sits, can we deny it? No, maybe Decata is a Aussie brand, and people like Ted Dana Bloody Decata might, yeah? Also got a little shopping plaza asset here as well. Is that going to be welcome? Yeah, I don't mind that. In and amongst the low density commercial, I think that is quite welcome, isn't it? And then I think a lot of the other uniques are probably a little too big. Got to have a Hungry Jacks in here as well, haven't we? Where do we want the Jackos? Probably have it there. Is that alright? Yeah, it's spot on there, isn't it? Happy days. Yeah, well, the Jackos in there as well. Maybe a little closer to the waterfront, actually. Maybe we go for... Is that a fits and sits? It is fits and sits. Okay, yeah. Decata has partnered with Hungry Jacks, and they now have a Hungry Jacks on the side of the department store. Perfect. Right outside the hospital as well. How American. Wonderful. Cool. So we'll have this here. This is going nicely. And then there's also the Mall of Moderation, which very nearly sits. That's the same depth, isn't it? Look at all these unique buildings just happen to be the same depth. I don't want to move too left of the town here because I have other plans for this side of the city. I really want to focus on the town centre today. How about we have that? That's going to fit perfectly in there, is it? Well, it does have car parking on the front. So we could either turn this around or bob it, because we've got parking on the street, obviously, which is our big Cairns-inspired thing, isn't it? We could just spin it around and have it there. And why don't we call in the old handyman Robert to come and remove these terrible vanilla trees off this asset? Please go away. Anything else you want to remove? No, I think that's okay, isn't it? And then we can actually surface paint up the back of this to just make it kind of a larger concrete plaza, if you like. Make sure the surface paint doesn't spill over where it's not needed. And then we can do lots of detailing out here to use this concrete space around the edge of the mall. We'll grab a planter. Let's go for... I feel like we never use these marble ones enough, really, do we? But they're not really that big. I do like quite a large planter. Let's go with these little over numbers. We'll have one of those, and then we'll pick out choice tree. I say, should we go for one of those planter trees? We probably should, shouldn't we? We never use these. One of those. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. And then we'll grab the planter in the tree. And essentially just have this in all four corners of the plaza here. And then that's just going to turn it into this kind of big concrete space for us. We can also imagine that there's entrances to the back of the mall from the car park on this side of the street. Which we can also reinforce that by drawing a pathway from the edge of the road through the building and out the other side. Because that's going to just help encourage Sims to actually walk through it, which will make it kind of a much more believable space, right? Let's get a couple of these planters either side of the segment as well. We'll select props and trees. Then we also want the segment selected. Let's do a mirror function opposite the segment, and then we can have it equidistant the other side. Cool. That's a much better use of the asset there, isn't it? It's going to give us a kind of a much larger, bigger touristic mall space rather than just another 4x4 commercial unit within the waterfront. For once, the floating ice cream avatar actually works out here. And the squirrel riding the donut isn't unwelcome either, I don't think, for a big tourist town like Ascension. Not too bad. I'd love to have another billboard over here as well. Let's have a look what we've got to play with. Now, Thessia would also look pretty good advertising out of here as well, wouldn't they? Like, come on. Like it says thanks for visiting though, doesn't it? So it's a location specific sign. We can't really have that elsewhere. We've got so many billboards now. Like custom ones. There's Valkyrie Cats, Crocodile Creek Cricket Club, Mercury Bitter, Motlop Petrochemicals, Welcome to Sentinel, just so good. Actually, I need to go place this Welcome to Sentinel sign back. I accidentally loaded into the save without it one time, and it disappeared. So we do need Welcome to Sentinel back on the roundabout there. Don't we all love Terry? Again, just some love, hugs and kisses for Terry in the chat as well today, please guys, in the comments. Not the chat, this isn't a live stream. Just love these assets, they go such a long way for making me smile with these builds. I've just noticed though that the Ascension Premium Rum sign is perhaps a touch too close toward the road there. Let's bring that a little closer to the right. There we go. All for rum and rum for all. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. But having said that, my original point here was to include another billboard, so I don't see why the mall wouldn't have an Ascension Rum sign on it. Maybe go for... yeah, there's no entrance or glass on this side of the building, is the same. Ascension have taken some out of home advertising space on the mall front here. Perfect. Fantastic. Really love those. So good. But anyway, the Mall of Moderation is very welcome in amongst the town here, isn't it? But I think that'll be a few unique, because I don't want to go over the top. I don't want them to really kind of heavily stand out, but I'm happy to have a few of them in. Also got Statue of Shopping in here as well. We have a nice big plaza space if we're going to surround this with other commercial. Let's go ahead and filter out some of our favourites. We'll get a Shake It in here too. Change our filter down to 3x3. We'll go for those little numbers. Should be okay there, shouldn't it? The people eating at this restaurant can stare directly into the souls of the Apple customers as they make poor buying decisions. That even the guy in the Apple store is still on his skateboard. What a clown. Sorry, I don't mean to hate on the Apple customers today. It's just coming to me naturally. So, apologies if you are an Apple fanboy. But anyway, we'll get some commercial around here. So we want to switch back now to essentially a depth of 3x3 would be nice here. Also allows us to use some more assets. Definitely get some more nicer shopping assets in here as well. We'll have another 4x3 unit here. Yeah, marketplace on the corner is perfect there, isn't it? And that should sandwich our plaza quite nicely. It's going to break up that commercial a bit as well. One thing I do want to do here as well, though, we're going to have to commission Robert. Robert gets a ton of work from the city council, doesn't he, for getting rid of these terrible trees. Can we go for a traveller's palm, perhaps? I think that might be quite exquisite, mightn't it, with the Statue of Shopping. Much nicer than the vanilla ones. Yeah, just having that open concrete space there in amidst all the shopping in the towers can be really welcome, isn't it? It just goes to show, doesn't it, you know? It's so much more fun for me, at least, to play with this slower crawling style, picking the assets out per corner, rather than just zoning. It's so much more satisfying, isn't it? Not that zoning isn't unwelcome, we do zone in some places here today. So I'd also love some services before we head to a detour in time-lapse. So of course we do have the hospital, which is of course the primary source of care, but I don't think it'd be out of the question to also have a smaller clinic knocking about here as well. Probably more towards the beach side, I imagine. Oh, and it's St. John's Ambulance Centre just going to fit in perfectly there. It is, isn't it? Yeah, okay, we'll go for St. John's Ambulance Centre there then, I think. Have a little med clinic on the street. Also got another little entrance here as well. This is such a nice asset, the St. John's one. And we always end up moving our spawn, or our detailing of the ambulances to the back here, don't we, near the garage. So I reckon what we can do is, so the building only has one spawn point, but if we drag this to the back here and have it say, oh, that's going to be a little irritating, isn't it? Okay, I'll tell you what we can do. Let's move it here, and then we'll drag the asset back a little bit. Oh, we can actually move quite a bit before it becomes disconnected, can't it? Which is interesting. Okay, so its building spawn point is a little bit further along there, but we'll have it here so that ambulances enter via this bit of concrete. And then we can just use our brush function, because the asset is actually staying put here. Actually, yeah, we use the tiles out the front, I think. Yeah, so those yard tiles that I'm after. So let's put those on a fence fill. And we'll just line them up roughly where we want it. We'll use move it to grab props. Line it up, give them a little copy and paste again as well. Make sure it also extends the pattern out here. And that should actually be really nice for just opening up the front of the med clinic there. We'll get some larger trees outside as well. Cairns is in the tropical Queensland, so we should be using palms over this way. I think they're definitely the most appropriate in this town out of all of them. He says as he stumbles across more wonderful pine numbers. No, stick to the palms egg. A couple of bushes out front there too, maybe. A couple of little palmy numbers. Quite big those, aren't they though? Not little at all. I think that's a much more interesting use of the asset, isn't it, you know? Having it kind of sat just off the road there, extending those tile decals out. Much nicer use of the med clinic there. And when we drop in some ambulance props around the back of the town here as well now, or the back of the building, and the spawn point is set so they do spawn out here as well. Which would be really nice, that'll be a lot of fun. We'll have that in there. We do already have a police station in the town, so there's not the need for another one just yet. But I would like a bank in here as well. So where can we get you? Let's have a look where we want this. Don't have this too close to the pedestrian street, of course, because we're going to be having more shops around here. But I reckon over here. Just on the way into town, and looks like we can move that over a little bit actually, just to encroach upon the land of the other asset. Yeah, we'll have a city bank in there as well. And did we drop fire in during last episode? I don't think we did we? No, we don't have a fire station here, so we definitely want a fire station as well. The high capacity fire station might be quite appropriate here. Actually, I wouldn't mind having this in and around the waterfront over this way. Quite an important looking building, does sit nice up against the waterfront, doesn't it? That'd be a little bit too dominant for me though. I think we might end up taking it off the waterfront, maybe have it elsewhere in the town. I guess we could just move it over to where the police station is. Have it on this road over here. We do already have some height this way. It's a bit more appropriate there, isn't it? Quite central in the town there too, which will be helpful. Yes, so we do got some demand for workers. I want to make sure that this whole town centre isn't just residential, commercial. I do want some residential in here. I mean, how would some of these Brooklyn and Queens kind of white block apartments look? Are these totally out of place in an Australian build? Can we pick and choose some sort of matching assets here? A little bit of fusing potential as well. Just get a little impression of what this might look like. Because I think the red brick ones are quite quintessentially Brooklyn, and you can't really escape that. But I think with the ones with the white cladding on them or the white brickwork don't look a little bit more multi-purpose, aren't they? I think. I'll definitely be on board. Is that all the people coming from the train? I wonder if that was. Oh no, they're walking on the planters. No, stop it. Get off to the right. They're walking through my trees. Okay. So the busier it gets, the more they walk down the middle. But maybe, you know, they're just walking on the grass. Either that or we'll have to refine the tree part that's in the middle of them. But I don't want to change it. I really like it. We'll wait and see. But nice to see that it is busy anyway. Back to my original point before getting distracted yet again. I think I do enjoy the inclusion of some of those Brooklyn and Queen assets there, just as some, you know, middle of the town apartments. So I think we could definitely get away with those. However, having said that, there are some nicer high density towers, which again would lend themselves more nicely towards those kind of random pops of height that we see in Cairns. What is this one here? There's also actually some really nice unique buildings I've never used from the Africa pack, and this is the Luxury Hotel number 1 and then Luxury Hotel number 2, funnily enough. I'm not saying we stick them together like that, but if we were to have them on the waterfront, are we okay with them? Yeah, I think I am okay with them. Definitely no taller than this though, that might even be in the realm of too tall, this residential tower, but I think I can live with it for right now anyway. Yeah, I never used these. I remember actually when the Africa pack released, these were zonable buildings, but it got a patch, didn't it? And it did change eventually. Yeah, there's some really unique buildings in the Africa pack. I still want to find a place for the Sahara Research Institute. This is a really nice looking asset, super big as well. And the conference centre. Maybe we'll have the conference centre up in Ascension. Up there might be quite nice, but moving away from today's build here, so I won't get involved in that today. But either way, guys, it does feel like a good point now for a plopping and prop time lapse. We're going to do some plops around here, fill in the rest of the space with commercial, and then also respect the same designs down Stanton Street that we did over on the other Stanton Street over here with the pedestrian ones. Can I get away with leaving that reserve in? I think I can. I think it's alright. Just maybe some of the kids sometimes walk on the grass when they're not supposed to. Maybe we need a sign saying don't walk on the grass. I'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it's only a few of them, right? You can hear me and my voice desperately trying to justify it because I really love the green reservation. I really like it. Of course, the alternative would to be just use the one with the green reservation in it already. But it's a totally different style of planter. What happens, I know we just said detail and time lapse, but what am I doing here? If I was to drop in the large, yeah, you can't even see it. I'd just much rather have that grass. Again, it's inspiration from Cairns, but I guess this particular road, it would stop them walking on it, wouldn't it? We just upgrade this section, see how it looks. Okay, then again, once it's got the trees and the planters on it, you can't even tell it's there. In fact, if anything, it adds a nice little brick reservation in there, doesn't it? Have we just solved our problem? I think we have. Wonderful. There we go. Spent all episode wondering about how to fix it, and it turns out we just needed to upgrade it into a different type of pedestrian road. Sometimes it's easy to overthink things, isn't it? But either way, let's continue plopping the town centre of Ascension, and then we'll be right back. guys, let's have a detailed review, shall we, of what has turned into a really lovely Cairns-inspired town centre for Ascension. So we're just going to fly around and see what's happened. Upgrading the pedestrian roads into the ones with the tree reservation has worked wonders for keeping people off of the grass, so to speak. So don't know how I overlooked that one. It just worked perfectly, and I really like the design here, right, having like the first curve, then the grass, then the second curve, then the dirt. Worked out really nicely, so I'm really happy with how it all turned out. And then just looking down the streets, all the commercials come together really, really nicely. We've also got some little alleyways worked in between here as well, where we've got pathways and benches, and just, again, appropriately chosen assets like a little veranda here on the street corner as you come out. See all these tourists in their backpacks coming out to Ascension. And then lots of grass-lined streets with the car parking and the trees. Is of course very Cairns. And we'll just look at that. Look at that fire extinguishing animation. So much better than Cities 2, that, isn't it? It gets out with the hose and gets back in and then goes. My god, so cool. Really good. But yes, then our apartments over here looking really nice. We've also got some clinic action over here as well, where we dropped in a little bit of a fence in to separate out the back of the residential entrance here as well. And it's really nice how all these assets kind of fell into place with one another, isn't it? Creating these little alleyways in a town, I think, between the commercials, something that adds a really nice layer of realism for me, at least. I ended up removing this parking road because I couldn't get rid of the bush that was blocking the entrances to the ambulance, and the ambulance police absolutely would have been on us if we'd have left that there. So we had to sort that out. And then more parking up here. Our service point has been detailed up with an extension of its fencing and a gate, with another little pathway here, again creating an alleyway. When we come back onto the second Stanton Street, which again has loads of really nice commercial along it that just flows through here. Absolutely love King Leno's assets. If you haven't got the Shopping Malls Content Creator Pack and you're still playing Cities 1, go get it off Instant Gaming. These just like, for these to be like in-game assets and not off the workshop are just so good. King Leno is an absolute beautiful man with great character. More commercial over this way before we arrive back at our mall. And along the waterfront, this is experimental for right now, but I'm thinking what I want to add, and I'll probably upgrade the trees in here at some point as well. Kind of like a tropical tree belt that runs between the road and the beach. Let me know if you like this idea. I think it looks really cool. It's a really nice division between sand and tarmac, isn't it? Having that just tree belt in there, little pops of colour. Maybe some more palms and one or two more gum trees, but let me know if you want to see the Ascension sort of tropical tree belt run between here. I've not done it all the way along, but I imagine we can also maybe feed it all the way through this side of the town as well. Keep this pedestrianised road going with some really fun designs to come up as the town continues to expand. So let me know what you think of it. I really like it, and this pedestrian street's getting a ton of use now. Especially looking back down those pedestrian roads into the town, back to the mall. How cool does that look? I got some more high density over here, including Modern City Centre, Hearts of Korea stuff, in with some of those African hotels that we've got from the pack as well. Including some After Dark ones. And the whole town just came together really nicely. It's a really fun town centre. And I think next week we're going to get stuck into the marina as we expand a really cool area of Cairns, of course, taking more inspiration from Google Earth as to how this part of the town is going to develop, using some really chunky assets. But as for the main commercial and a little bit of residential town centre for Ascension today, it did indeed turn out really nicely. But otherwise, it is going to do it for today, guys. Let's thank you all so much for watching. If you have made it to this point in the CS1 video, massive thank you to you all for continuing to support Cities Skylines 1. Again, to help me justify putting the time and the effort in to make these videos, you can leave me any engagement down below. Likes, comments and shares always help bring more people to the channel. And again, it helps me justify putting time into CS1, even though CS2 is out now. So again, if you want to continue to see Cities Skylines 1 on the channel, please do support it, because it makes it a lot easier for me to justify that time that it takes. Otherwise, love Ascension is now my new favourite town, as we expand a much bigger metropolitan area than any of the other towns, of course, besides the CBD. Big shout out again to Brad and Terry for their designs on the billboards. Looks really cool. Always love the community billboards, so please keep them coming. And if you're not in our Discord and want to get involved in that, links are down below. Do come and join the community. It's always nice to have you there. Massive shout out to all the patrons supporting the channel, of course, with a special roll call to the beautiful Felix Wilkinson. Thank you for all the patron support, guys. You, of course, make these Cities 1 videos possible as well. So thank you so much for all of that. Otherwise, please do enjoy today's cinematics of Ascension Town, but otherwise I'll shut up and leave it there. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.